welcome to 2024. I suppose now, no matter where you are around the world, it's already 2024. So happy New Year! Wish you all the best wherever you are. Our topic today is about setting intentions for 2024, and why setting intentions as opposed to New Year's resolutions. I think this is maybe one of the reasons why you're here today. What's the difference? Um, well, and maybe you tell me a little bit too. So use the chat here to talk about what's your, maybe what you think is the difference between a New Year's resolution and an intention. And furthermore, maybe what is your New Year's intention or New Year's resolution? And maybe how are you going to keep it? What is your plan to fulfill that intention or resolution for the year? So, I think that maybe the place to start is that 90% of people that set New Year's resolutions, or maybe more. In fact, I don't know the exact statistic, but I think it's over 90% of people uh, don't make their New Year's resolutions. So maybe they have some strong resolution at the beginning of the year, and I mean that. Look at the word resolution. The word resolution comes from the word resolve. I resolve to, etc., etc., whatever my resolution happens to be. These tend to be goals with really strong boundaries around them, and this could be one of the reasons why New Year's resolutions are not as successful at implementation as something like an intention, because without with really really firm boundaries, we end up not as it's a lot easier to fail because we have said, like, this is the definition of success and failure. And so once we get to that point of failure, then this is where it can be really disheartening, and we go, well, oh, okay, I resolve to exercise for 30 minutes a day, I resolve to meditate for 30 minutes a day, and then it goes, we get to that point where we can only do 20 minutes this day, and say, well, I'm failing in my resolution. I'm not able to do it. Maybe I should just give up and not do it at all. And so this is kind of one, maybe this is a bit of a nuance as opposed to, like, what's a resolution versus what's an intention. But I think it's an important difference in that this intention seems to be it's a bit broader, it's a bit more encompassing, and it's a bit looser when it comes to the guidelines of success and failure. And it's something that in my household, we practice every year. It's something that I know that my partner always chooses one basic thing to focus on, in both two arenas, right? We choose it in two arenas. One is in career. Like, so what's my overall intention as I reflect back on 2023, and see my successes and my failures? What seems to be one area that I can really focus on, and what one area that would make the biggest improvement in my work life? And then, number two, of course, in personal life. So what are some of the things that can help me have a better, happier personal life? And in digging a bit deeper into, instead of something just on surface level. And I think this is the other difference between intentions and resolutions, is that a resolution could be we're fixing the symptom of a problem rather than looking at what's down at the root. And so as we look at intention, it's this broader overall kind of idea, and it might involve setting short-term goals as we look at that intention as to what we can do to work towards that. And one example of an intention could be to live a happier and more healthy, active lifestyle for 2024. And so this may involve additional exercise. This may involve changing things about eating habits. It's just an example. So maybe a resolution would be something more along the lines of, I want to lose weight in 2024. And by the way, just as a person who's done some kind of overall health activities throughout my life, losing weight, in fact, isn't really a good goal anyway, because losing weight tends to be kind of a short-term kind of thing that we look at, and using the scale as the thing to measure success or failure doesn't account for the holistic nature of the body anyway. Losing weight often, like especially when we deprive ourselves of food or we do a bunch of cardio without any resistance training along with it, we end up losing a lot of muscle mass, which is the engine that would be responsible for burning fat anyway, right? So looking at things in a broader point of view, I guess, is the point here, instead of looking at it narrowly and just say, okay, looking at that number between my toes is the number that defines whether I'm successful or whether I fail. So that's kind of the guidelines to coming up with an intention for the new year. So reflect back on 2023. This is kind of the first piece. Look at what worked, what didn't work in 2023 for you, and choose something that is going to be aligned with what is going to be helpful for you. And I'm just going to have a look at the chat here. Yeah, like recovery. Susan says recovery equals self-care, and these are important things to pay attention to as well. Is what can I do that is going to be kind to myself, and I think we've talked a lot about self-compassion, and finding a way for us to be kind to ourselves is really important, and is the way to have an effective method of being successful. That self-care and self-compassion are more effective tools than self-harshness. So again, when we're looking at goals, when we're looking at the goals that support our intentions, trying to pick something that is going to align with that it's not something that's going to cause us to be disheartened, because self-compassion is a more effective way to bolster ourselves and be more resilient in times of difficulty and times of failure than self-harshness and self-criticism. So these are kind of the tools and the recipes for success. And so really kind of the encouragement is, again, 90% of people fail at their New Year's resolutions. Why pick something at the New Year? Because it's a good time, right? It feels like, even though human beings are the ones who invented calendars, there's nothing super special about January 1st, at least on the cosmic scale, let's say, right? It's not like a solstice or something like that. It's kind of an arbitrary time. So, but because that number on your calendar changes, it feels like there's some kind of new beginning that can happen. So it's as good of time as any to kind of have some reflection time and to reflect back and go, well, what worked in 2023, what didn't work, and what can I do to have some kind of overall benefit to my life and my career. And I guess I can share. I think I can share with you one of my partner, her resolution or her intention for this year is to work on her image, at in as for a career, right? So what kind of person, what do I want to show up as at work? How do I want to be perceived in the work that I do? And what kind of leadership qualities, for example, what kind of leader do I want to be? And I think that's a really interesting one. And you know, all of us are leaders in what we do. And I think that's something that we sometimes get caught up on, is that in career, you don't need to have a position, a job title that says, I am this. You know, all of us work with other people, and other people, we have ability to influence. So, you know, how do I want to show up as a leader can be a really good, it's a really good intention, or a really good method of questioning to look at, to think about your intention for 2024 for career. So that's a lot. I've even though I started late, I have exceeded my 10 minutes, but I really wanted to make sure to talk about this enough, because I think that's might be one of the reasons that you're showing up today, is to really think about that intention. What is my intention for 2024? And maybe break it down into this way, right? What is the intention for career? What is the intention for personal life? What's going to make, and not that these two things are completely separate anyway. One, of course, feeds on the other and are interconnected. Your personal life will certainly have some impact on your career, and likewise, your career is going to have an impact on your personal life. So you can, we'll go into a little bit more too as the month goes on about how I want to show up in certain ways. And the other thing that I'll just say before we get started is that a lot of times we always think about adding things. Like, here's something new for me to do. You know, here's something that I can add to my life. Right, and in my quest to live a better fitness, to take care of my body, I'm going to start exercising more. Right? Maybe this is one of the goals that goes along with the intention. Okay. I mean, the issue, of course, is that this, right, filling up a cup that's already completely full sometimes, well, you know, in that analogy, it never works. So know that there is something important about emptying, that we just can't keep adding and adding and adding for things to be able to work. We have to look at our lives and see, well, maybe there's some space for emptiness. And I think this also is a very important part. And so as we talk about intentions and ways to get there and goals, this is kind of one of the first things I want to cover. So when I come back next time on Thursday or Wednesday night, maybe for you, the topic is going to be about emptying. So instead of looking at my life that is as full as it is, are there things that I can start to say, okay, this isn't something that's necessary for right now. All right. Great to see you all. I'd love to hear if you'd like to share your intentions for the year or your resolutions, whatever you've got. Feel free to write those in the chat. And as well, like, what about you know, any comments, any questions about this kind of talk as we get into it here at the beginning. So feel free to write that in the chat, and we're going to go ahead and get started into our mindfulness practice. So one of the things that helps, and that I've found very helpful, and right now I'm reflecting back on my meditation retreat in September. As I went on this retreat, and as I do these, meditation activities, one of the things that is very useful about mindfulness and meditating on the breath is that space comes. That without even trying, space is made. And what's that even mean? It's that as we focus on the breath, as we let go of the constant thinking that we have, or as we do our best to let go. Again, it's about intention. Intend to stay focused on the breath. As we have that intention, as we stay more focused and let go of some of our addictive thinking patterns, we might start to see with a new clarity what's showing up. So I would encourage you to get comfortable. Sit up straight and tall. And focus on that intention. So what is your intention for this year? If you've been able to work that out. Of course, you don't need to have it right now. And so maybe you have something, maybe you're still struggling to find something, and that's okay. Let's narrow down to what's our intention for the next 10 minutes of practice. What do I hope to achieve out of my meditation practice today, if anything? And I'll share with you my intention. My intention for basically every single meditation I do is to stay focused on my breath. Because I know that if I stay aligned with that intention, everything I'm hoping for, all of the goals of my practice fall into place all by themselves. So I intend to stay focused on my breath, and whenever my mind wanders away, I'm going to bring my mind back to the physical sensation of breath. So I encourage you now to focus as best you can on what it feels like to be breathing. These physical signs of breath, they may show up at the belly, maybe you can feel your chest moving. If you're struggling at all today to find how the breath is moving the body, you can feel free to take your right hand and place it across your chest, your left hand on your belly. And then maybe that physical sensation becomes a bit more obvious to you. As the body expands, making room for the air coming inside of it as you breathe in. Contracts, lets go. As the body expels carbon dioxide and the waste products of metabolism. Inhaling, expanding. Exhaling, contracting. And so, what happens to you when your mind wanders? What's the feeling like? Do you beat yourself up for having lost focus? Or are you gentle with yourself as you gently let go of whatever your distraction was and return to focusing on the breath? There's so much to learn about ourselves as we meditate. As we make space for this self-examination. This was interesting as well. This self-examination isn't that we're trying to examine ourselves. You just happen to see ourselves as we are, as we try our best to stay focused on the here and now, on this moment, on this breath. And now on this breath. On this breath. And where's your mind now? Are you still focused on your breath, or have you wandered off? So now is the time to practice, to be gentle with yourself. You'll find that if you are gentle with yourself during your meditation, it's only natural to start being more gentle to yourself in other arenas of life. I can't meditate, I can't stay focused on my breath, people say to me. If you can stay focused, or intend to stay focused, even for one breath, you're already meditating. It is enough. Keep trying. Bolster your resolve. You may wander away 100 times, 1,000 times in these short, which may seem long, times of meditation. It's okay. It's natural for the mind to wander. Do your best to stay focused on the breath. And be gentle with yourself when you find that you cannot. So we'll spend a few more minutes together, and I'll remain silent to give you the space to work with yourself, by yourself, in this space of silence, to resolve to stay focused on the breath and to be gentle as we guide the mind back to the breath after it has wandered to other things. Congratulations, everyone, for having made it through our practice. Maybe take a moment to thank yourself for having made the time today for yourself, to be with yourself, to examine yourself through the vehicle of focusing on the breath. And I'll close practice now with 3 rings of the bell. So now feel free to transition out of your period of practice in whatever way you like. Maybe that's by making some movements, stretching out. wiggling your fingers and toes. So thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for choosing to spend your new year here. Talk about intentions a bit. And well, now's the time to share how'd it go. And maybe what came up. Maybe some intention came up for you. I see a few people have shared their intentions in chat. So feel free to write what came up for you, what happened during the meditation, any questions, comments, or feedback, and we'll get to those shortly. And I think I'm just going to read out loud a couple of these intentions because they, one of the joys of sharing in chat is that you actually can stoke ideas in other people. And that's one of the joys of having an interactive kind of experience like this one, is that you are not alone in your thoughts and your ideas, and what as we're all interconnected, especially learning from each other here, maybe what you say has some resonance with someone else, and these it can be quite powerful to see the effect that we all have on each other. So, my intention is to have more mindful connections with my family, listening without interrupting or coaching my teenagers. Thanks, Lauren, for sharing that. I think that's really excellent. I know I want to interrupt my family members sometimes when I'm talking, and it's a practice that I've worked on for a long time, is mindful listening, and it's one that we can all focus on, right? Instead of constantly moving forward into the conversation, thinking about what am I going to say, what am I going to contribute, is it possible to really give your full attention to those that you're with. Florence, I'd like to reconnect with my inner self, trust, instinct, truth, etc. And as we explore mindfulness, and I'm going to go through MBSR again. So I'm qualified by the University of Massachusetts Medical School to teach mindfulness-based stress reduction, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit as this month and next month goes on. What this course is like, and what some of the things that are involved in that course, so that you can get a little taste of mindfulness-based stress reduction as we go through the month. And part of that, and I guess why it's coming up for me, is that Florence says, I'd like to reconnect with my inner self, trust, instinct, and trust is one of the things that we can start to notice about ourselves as we adopt a mindful practice. Thanks, Florence. My intention is more self-love and self-care, as well as to draw out the calling of the healer in me. Thank you, Joanne. And Caesar says, we'll focus on my personal life in 2024. Thank you. My intention is to be gentler with myself when I do mess up. Thanks, Jean. I think that's a good one. I think we can all use that. Okay. I'll be coming back in around 48 hours. Hopefully my computer's internal clock will have fixed itself by that time, so that I will be showing up right on time next time. And I think that hopefully should be no issue with that. Come on, trusty computer. And the topic's going to be emptiness. It's going to be doing less. So as we have our New Year's intentions, as we, often these intentions and resolutions involve more doing. I want to do more. I want this. Like the example I gave was, being having a healthier lifestyle sometimes means adding in, I want to add in this routine to my life, which is already really full. Is it possible to scale back, to go what's necessary, what's unnecessary? And we'll talk about how mindful practice ties in with all of that. So that's what's coming up next. Look forward to sharing that with you and talking with you as well, getting comments. If you don't follow me on Insight Timer, so just quickly ways to support me and to help out with this mindful practice. One, if you don't follow me on Insight Timer and you're watching this right now, please do follow me on Insight Timer. You can always join Ryan's Daily Mindfulness Circle, which is the chat group that supports this live practice. You can listen to my free tracks. That helps. And I have, around 20 free tracks. I have some premium tracks as well. So you can feel free to check those out. And of course, donation always helps. So would love to see you again. If you felt that this was a useful practice for you today and useful chat about intentions, I'll be back on, again, about 47 hours now, around 47 hours. And we'll be chatting more then. Look forward to that. Florence, I'm so happy that this has been a good experience. And Insight Timer, of course, besides me, there are a lot of live practices that you can attend here that are pretty much happening around the clock. So you can always find something, all kinds of different stuff available. Great. Well, thanks, Deanne. And I hope to see you again. And I will be signing off now. But before I sign off, let us please close practice the way that we always do, by sending well wishes to ourselves and by sending well wishes out to everyone around the world. So repeat after me if you feel comfortable doing so. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. May all sentient life on this planet and throughout the universe be happy and peaceful. All right. A pleasure as always. Take care, everyone. Happy 2024, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.